Hey, look out. It is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Look who's on Zoom and on the radio with us, Alycia Wood from RZIM, one of our favorite guests. In fact,
Yes.
she is really our favorite. Sean, not so much. Alycia, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'll make sure Sean tunes into that part of the show.
No, I got to put a dig in there for Sean. I love poking the dog with Sean. He's still not sure how to react to my poking there, but it's all good. Hey, it's good to have you. Thank you for spending time with us. Before we were on air with Zoom and on the radio, you mentioned that I guess you guys are doing Zooms and stuff with some of the Emory students and other places that you're ministering and speaking. We'll get into that in a second. This COVID-19 pandemic, all of us socially isolated, Dan and I, for 5 weeks now in our home studios. How are you
doing?
Going
crazy, by the way.
Yes. Absolutely. If it weren't for RZIM videos, where would we be?
Where would we be? Exactly.
Yes, we'd be unshaven and not smelling so good. But the pandemic, how's everybody in your family? Everybody healthy? Everybody good?
Yeah, for the most part. I've got people in just a variety of places, and we've been affected a bit. I mean, I think at the end of this whole thing, somebody in some way, shape, or form is going to say, I was affected, or I lost somebody, or whatever it might be. It's one of those situations where it's so widespread that I don't know if any of us are really going to be immune, even if it's not a passing of, or a sickness of a loved one, even economically or whatever. We've all been affected in some way. So, but overall, the family is doing well back home in New York. So I keep in touch with them long distance. But yeah, so thanks for asking. They're doing overwhelmingly well.
So the first thing you're going to do when we're all freed from these chains, so what are you going to do? Is there a special place you're going to eat, or are you going to go visit your family?
You going bowling today, maybe? You can do that.
How about a tattoo, some nail time, and bowling at the same time?
Yes.
I've always wanted a Rick and Dan show tattoo, so this might be the great time to get it,
We should all three go together and get one. I love that.
That is why you're our favorite.
Oh boy!
Yeah, Sean Hart would never go get a tattoo. I don't think.
No.
I don't really have any special plans. I'm kind of one of those weird people that actually, when you tell me, oh, you have to be at home, I'm like, this sounds like utter bliss. I love being at home. Introverted me is just I can be just quite content. So there's definitely an aspect in which I'm perfectly happy just continuing to hibernate, stay here. And I go out for grocery shopping, those kind of little things. But overall, it's just really nice just to have some really good downtime. So I don't think too much will change, maybe a little bit, but not anything too drastic.
Sounds like my wife, Kathy. She was just saying last night to our daughter that she's just perfectly content to be, quarantined for the rest of her life. And I'm over here just depressed going, I need people. So yeah, we're ready for a change. So Alycia, tell us how this whole COVID thing has changed the way RZIM is doing things, or has it changed the way y'all are doing things?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think everybody in some ways had to adapt and change, whether it's just people working in just a normal, job, whether it's people like me who are speakers who are traveling kind of things, we've all had to adapt. And thankfully, RZIM has tried to keep up with our media and with, our studio and recording things and videos. So the transition for us hasn't been massive, but it still is a transition. And so what we've really done as speakers specifically is we've turned to writing different pieces on what's going on, addressing things in the culture, topics in the culture, some of the questions that are happening. We did a live stream event a few weeks ago with several of our speakers, Vince Vitale, Joe Vitale, and Abdu Murray. And I think the title was, Where's God in a COVID world, or something like that. And this idea of let's deal with some of these questions early on. And so we did that a few weeks ago. So we had that live stream then, a lot of Zoom, speaking to different universities, speaking to different companies, doing interviews, writing pieces. So we're kind of just jumping on board with whatever we can do to still communicate to people, because people are still asking us, hey, can we still have you speak here? Can we still have you speak here? I may not physically be there, but at least we can still be a presence.
Good.
Thanks for opening up for my next question, Alycia. That's why, again, you're one of our favorites. No, I'm sorry. You are our favorite guest from RZIM. Where is God in this whole thing? There are people asking, okay, if God's a loving God, he's a merciful God, what happened? Where is God in this whole thing? What are you saying to folks?
Yeah. Well, I think one thing for us to think through and keep in mind is that number one, our life circumstances don't change truths about God. You know, like either God's there and he is a certain character, has a certain morality, a certain moral code, or he doesn't. What happens to your eye doesn't necessarily change that. It may change the way in which we understood what he was like, but his goodness, his perfection, his qualities are not dependent upon our life circumstances. So in that sense, because things have changed for us doesn't mean anything has changed for him. You know, we were always at risk of illnesses and you know, getting sick. I mean, what's the common funny phrase people always say, that two certain things in life are death and taxes, right? So, I mean, nothing in the grander sense, nothing has changed. Yeah, the IRS has pushed off taxes for a few months, but the other thing is still inevitable. You know, you know, when you eat sushi, there's a risk you catch a parasite. When you eat a medium rare steak, there's issue you can get some other illness. You know, we get in our car, we walk down the stairs, you know, where people have had issues and injuries walking down the stairs. Like our lives are always actually in a state of, we never know. And that's why the Christian message has always been, but what can you know for sure? Because in a world of so much uncertainty, in a world of which so much, you know, you don't know what tomorrow will hold. You don't know what the rest of today will hold. Is there anything that we can know for sure? And what I love about when the Bible talks about hope and a guarantee of a future world is it talks about it as like, this hope is not just like, oh, I hope you come to my birthday party next week. But this hope is a certain thing. Like it lets you know this is to come. And if you're in that relationship with God, then nothing that happens here, no pandemic, no tornado, no natural disaster, no anything can change your future that is to come. That can't be changed by any kind of things that happen here, you know, an economic issue, whatever it might be. And so in the midst of uncertainty, Christians are still given hope and that certainty. And so I would say, you know, God is where he's always been. You know, he is here with us. He's here to comfort us. He's here to be with us in these times of stress and turmoil, and even in the times of good. None of that has changed. And so I think for me, I find comfort in knowing that when the world around me changes, there is something that isn't. There is a bedrock. There is a foundation that is still certain, and that's still him. And even if I can't answer, you know, why, God, don't you take away all of this pandemic? I don't know if I have to answer that, because I do have enough answers to be able to feel confident in him with the answers I don't have.
That's so good.
Good stuff. Alycia Wood from RZIM. Now, Alycia, we've all had time to sit at home and be alone, and you said that's kind of refreshing for you. But in these times where we're kind of forced to be still, what is God teaching you personally through this?
Oh, wow. What a great question. And you know, I will say too, I recognize too that my situation of the fact that this is enjoyable for me is because of the fact that, you know, I still am working, you know, and I think of so many people who have lost their jobs. You know, I used to work in the restaurant industry, and so many of my restaurant friends have lost their jobs, and how devastating and how trying and how, you know, just full of anxiety or stress this time is for them. So I'm fully aware too that my experience is a blessing for now. That could change. It could change for any of us at any point. And so I definitely keep in mind a lot. And I actually way more concerned about the people that are really struggling. And they say a third of Americans didn't pay their rent in April. Well, we're coming up on a next month. What's going to happen, you know, with that? And so all that to say, I think what God has been teaching me is, I think, perspective. I think that's something I always try and work on, you know. We know that millions and millions of people are dealing with poverty and lack of food all the time. It's like certain Americans are now joining into that. But we as Americans oftentimes live a very, very blessed life with all of our struggles and turmoils. And so I think perspective is something I keep in mind. I still have a place to live. I still have food, you know. So maybe I can't get on a plane. Maybe I can't do these particular things, but I am healthy and well. Like that is good enough.
Right.
You know, and I think too, he's just also teaching me and preparing me for when things do change. There's different lessons about culture as I observe where people are at and how they're processing through this. You know, how can I then, when I do get back out there speaking regularly, how can I engage with them post all of this?
Yeah.
I love it. Alycia Wood, she's a part of RZIM, a speaker. She is currently isolated at home and loving it. And of course, loving to be on the show again with us because she is our favorite from RZIM. Listen, we got to take a break. And because you're our favorite, we want to check in with you about every 2 weeks. Sean Hart, not so much.
Unless he has a new rap, then we can check in with him.
Well, we'll see. RZIM.org is a good place to check out what's going on. You can read some of Alycia's stuff and see all kinds of really cool videos, not just cool, just stuff that's really going to impact you and empower you and change the way you think. It really, really will. And that's what we love about it. Alycia, we love you to pieces. Blessings. We'll get back with you in a couple of weeks if you're good for that.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me on, friends. Always good to see you.
Good to see you.
Let's do this. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.